Welcome to where we listen to space where every story is heard and every experience has value. This channel is dedicated to sharing real-life stories from personal experiences and those submitted by our community. Each story is a journey filled with lessons that shape who we are. Today, we're diving into a topic that is deeply personal, emotional, and heart-wrenching. Imagine living in a place of safety and peace, but having your heart constantly pulled towards a loved one who is thousands of miles away, living amidst chaos, conflict, and war. This is the reality for many people who have family and friends trapped in war zones. In this video, we'll share what it's like to have loved ones in war zones, explore the emotional rollercoaster of fear and hope, and shed light on the coping mechanisms people use to survive these situations. Let's walk through this story together, and if you have experienced this or know someone who has, we encourage you to share your thoughts and feelings in the comments below.
Every day begins with uncertainty. You wake up, check your phone, and hold your breath, hoping there's no message or missed call that brings bad news. Living in a safe place while your loved ones are surrounded by war is a constant emotional roller coaster. There's fear that something terrible will happen and you'll be powerless to help. There's guilt that you're safe while they're not. And then there's hope, a fragile hope that today will be a quiet day, that your loved ones will be able to find food and shelter, that they will stay out of harm's way. People in this situation often describe the experience as living on the edge of a knife. Every news report, every social media post can bring either a sense of relief or a wave of terror. The unpredictability is crushing. One viewer shared their story: "I have my younger brother and his family living in a war zone. Every time a new video of bombings or attacks surfaces on social media, I'm filled with dread. I scroll frantically, scanning every face in the footage, praying I don't recognize anyone. When the power goes out and I lose communication with them, the silence is deafening. Those hours feel like years." When someone has loved ones in a war zone, it affects every aspect of their life, even things you wouldn't normally think about. Tasks that used to feel mundane, cooking dinner, going for a walk, even enjoying a sunny day, are now overshadowed by the constant worry and guilt of living safely while others are in danger. Some have described it as living with two realities, one foot in their own daily life, and the other in the chaotic, dangerous world their loved ones inhabit. Concentration becomes a struggle, emotions fluctuate wildly, and there's an ever-present sense of helplessness. One mother, whose family was caught in a civil conflict, shared this: "I can't focus on my job. I find myself staring blankly at my computer, imagining the worst-case scenarios. And when I do hear from them, I feel relief mixed with more guilt for even worrying about my work when they're trying to stay alive." Staying informed is a double-edged sword. People want to know what's happening, but too much information, especially the wrong kind, can fuel anxiety and despair. Many rely on news outlets, social media updates, and personal contacts to stay connected. But often, there's conflicting information. Social media might show horrifying images, but you don't know if they're recent or relevant to your family's location. The news might report casualties in your loved one's hometown, but provide no details. This creates a storm of uncertainty. Are your loved ones okay? Is what you're seeing even true? The emotional toll is overwhelming. For some, staying informed becomes an obsession, constantly refreshing pages, checking for updates, looking for any sign of hope. One viewer told us, "I used to dread nighttime because that's when the fighting would get worse. I couldn't sleep. I'd sit up all night watching live news streams, praying I wouldn't see my family's neighborhood hit by an explosion." So, how do people cope when they're living with this constant weight on their shoulders? Everyone's approach is different, but one thing is clear: support is essential. Some find solace in joining support groups, both online and in person, where they can connect with others going through the same experience. These groups provide a space to share feelings, exchange information, and, perhaps most importantly, not feel alone. Others turn to advocacy, using their voices to bring attention to the conflict and support humanitarian efforts. It's a way to feel like they're contributing, even if they can't be there in person. Another coping mechanism is limiting exposure. Some people find it helpful to disconnect from constant news updates, focusing on direct communication with their loved ones when possible. They set boundaries for themselves, like only checking the news once or twice a day. One viewer shared their experience: "I've started practicing meditation and yoga. It's one of the only times my mind isn't consumed with worry. I've also set a rule: no news after 9 p.m. I have to take care of my own mental health, or I won't be able to help anyone else." Despite the overwhelming fear and anxiety, stories of hope and resilience shine through. People find strength they never knew they had. They support their loved ones in any way they can, offering words of comfort, sending funds, and providing emotional strength. One inspiring story comes from a woman who hadn't seen her parents in 5 years due to the conflict in their home country. Despite the distance, she would speak with them daily, providing not just comfort but also practical advice, helping them stay safe. "I would send them emergency plans, where to go if the shelling got too close, how to hide documents and money, and which neighbors they could trust. It was exhausting, but I knew they needed that guidance. After everything, my parents managed to escape safely to another country. It was the happiest day of my life." These stories remind us that, even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can endure. Love and hope can persist even when surrounded by war.
Living with loved ones in war zones is a harrowing experience that many can't even begin to imagine. It's a constant state of emotional turmoil, a balance between hope and fear, and a struggle to maintain normalcy. Yet, in sharing these stories, we honor the strength, courage, and resilience of those who endure. It's a reminder that behind every headline and statistic, there are real people, families, and lives at stake. Have you ever experienced having loved ones in war zones, or do you know someone who has? What helped you cope? We'd love to hear your stories and thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for being here with us at Where We Listen. If you found value in today's video, consider liking, subscribing, and sharing it with others. And if you have your own story or perspective on today's topic, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at where.we.listen.official@gmail.com and help us continue sharing stories that inspire, inform, and connect. Until next time, take care and keep listening.